Hey everyone, so this is the instructional video on how to begin to program your robot. So there are two programs that you will have on your computer screen. One is called Arduino IDE and the other one is called ArduBlockly. So you're going to open up both of these programs, just double click on them and it should open them up hopefully. We'll see what happens here. There we go. And then open up the ArduBlockly as well. So you'll have both programs running simultaneously. And these are the two screens that you will get. You'll get your ArduBlockly and you'll get your Arduino IDE software. And so when you're using these two simultaneously, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stick with the ArduBlockly first. That's where you're going to basically build your program. And then when you're done, you're going to send your program basically into the Arduino IDE and run it from there. So first thing I want you to be aware of is these two categories right here, the Pulse and the Arduino. Arduino comes with a bunch of different functions and things that you can do. For right now, we're not going to really get into that one, but let's just discuss the Pulse, which is the control panel that you have on your robot. And in here, you'll see there's a bunch of different things where you have the control panel, what that thing will do, motors, what you're going to want them to do, then the servo motors, and then any sensors that we add to this robot. But for today's lesson, we're just going to do something basic, starting with control. Now, every control should have something where it starts with the pulse begin. Now, we don't always need the pulse end, but we definitely need the pulse to begin. And we need something to kind of hold all of the code inside of it. And that's this thing here that looks like a big E. This guy is going to hold everything we need to run our first code. So we're just going to run our first code together, something very simple. And we're going to just click onto this. And then once we click it, it just automatically drags it into our work area. Then we need to fill in the gaps. And you'll see it's like kind of like a puzzle piece here. And so I want to fill in the gaps with those things. And here's what we'll do. We'll go to the very first thing, which is a pulse begin. We'll click it and we'll hold it and drag it into here. And it'll just click in. And if you're no code, if you're one of those kids who just knows the code, it's actually writing the code here as you're plugging it into the blocks. Pretty simple stuff. So the next thing is I could do stuff like with the LEDs that are on the pulse controller. I can turn them on, I can turn them off, I could change their colors. That's all fun and well, but really I want to do our first activity in something that's actually going to make something move on your robot. In this case, we're gonna rotate one of the wheels. So we can come back to this stuff later, and we're gonna go to the motors because that's really what I want to do. I want to move one of the motors. So this one says pulse set motor, pulse set motor power. And it gives us motor 1, and we can do motor 1 or motor 2. And I've clicked on it, and I'm going to drag that into where it says Arduino loop forever. That means what's in here is going to constantly loop. If we give it a set amount of rotations per minute, it will just kind of rotate until we ask it to stop. Now, we can change motor 1 from motor 1 to motor 2. We're just going to stick with motor 1. It doesn't really matter. And it'll say, here's the power, minus 100 to 100. Minus 100 is just reversing the wheel or the motor's rotations. So in this case, 100 means 100 rotations per minute, and minus 100 means a minus 100 rotations per minute. So we need to add what kind of power we want in there. And so we can go either to control or to motors. It's actually both in there. There's the one for motors, and in control, I believe it's in here too. Yep, it's right there. So we can actually bring that in, a little puzzle piece, and click it in. And then we just have to pick a value, how fast we want this thing to go. So for today's lesson, we're just going to do a 50 rotations per minute. And that's it. Now, when we're done, this could be a working code. It could program one of the motors to spin 50 rotations per minute over and over again for eternity until we stop it. So what I want us to do is I want us to stop it. But I don't want us to just immediately stop it. And if we did this, if we put pulse end right after this, what's going to happen is the second you start this code, you'll see the wheel try to turn, and then it'll just stop because it's telling it to stop right away. So what we need is some sort of like wait time in between these two steps. So in control, if you go down, you'll see it says wait milliseconds, wait microseconds, or wait forever, meaning it'll just do an infinite loop, kind of like it's already set up to do. And here we're just going to take the milliseconds and we're going to plug that in between the pulse end and the pulse motor power. And I need another one of these guys to put into there. And so I'll go back into my control panel, grab one of these guys, drag them into that little puzzle piece, and we can say how long we want it to be. So we're just going to do 5,000 milliseconds. And what will happen is that this wheel will spin 50 rotations per minute for 5,000 milliseconds, and then it's going to stop. So now that we have this code written, this is what it looks like written out. Now that we have the code built in our blocks, we can go up here, and when I put the cursor over the arrow, you'll see a couple other options. One of them is a check mark, and this actually lets us to see if we can verify that the sketch is actually going to work. And just click it, and it'll run, and it'll upload it into the Arduino software, and it'll say check mark, and it'll be green if it's working. And if it's not working, it'll tell us that it's not working here. And right now, it's currently trying to upload the thing, and it says here it's verified, it's good, and the check mark is green. Then the next thing I can do is I can actually open the sketch in IDE, or I can upload the sketch into my robot. Now, not all of you will have the function for this. For some reason, the new ArduBlockly, this doesn't always work, but you can try it. If you click onto this, you should see the pulse motor flashing yellow, and that means it's uploading the code. If you don't see it, then you need to upload this. And what you'll do is you just click onto this, and it'll open up a new Arduino, and then it'll have the code in it. This is the code we just wrote right here. And you'll see this check to verify. We've already verified. We know it works. And then this one, it says upload. We can click that, and it will upload into our robot. So for today's lesson, you have to prove to me that you can understand this enough to make one motor rotate 50 rotations per minute and then stop after 5,000 milliseconds. Good luck, go to work, and I'll see you on the other side.